Dun, 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 dun. Dear Diary, this is the Cranium Report with Commander Cranium. Today, we're going to try and quickly talk about my last arrest, because that's really fast and easy. Although I may be arrested this week by the Daily News again, a Nazi reporter named Celeste Katz, a mass murdering, child molesting mass murderer named Celeste Katz. I can prove the things I say. You'll notice people say, "Oh, Christopher talks out his ass." Well, why not debate me? You can prove in minutes that you didn't murder women and children. When I name Marcella Pierce, when I name Nix Marie Brown, and I prove point by point how you murdered them, why wouldn't you debate me and make me eat my words and humiliate me in public? Because you can't disprove any of the facts, you fucking liars. So that's why my enemies always arrest me. They never prove me wrong or debate me. They simply do what Hitler would have done. Hitler didn't disprove all of his critics. He was notorious for running away from debates, just like Adam Lisberg, Celeste Katz, and every reporter in America. These people are super criminals. Again, remember, reporters are worse than the Nazis and Hitler, because if you go back and you look at Nazi Germany in 1933, the only way Hitler and the Nazis got into power in the first place was lies by journalists. Go back and look. In fact, one of the first things the Nazi Party did before they became in power of Germany was buy a newspaper. Because if you control the media, you control every other thing, from armies to politicians to corporations. The media controls everything. That's why the media is owned by a few billionaires. That's why Bush and Cheney deregulated the media. Everyone forgets that. They deregulated the media to promote totalitarianism and media monopolies. Got it? Everyone loves to forget that. So my last arrest in 2010, I want to say it was in the fall of 2010, September. It might have been on my birthday. I did spend my birthday in jail. I can't remember if I think that was the arrest though. Adam Lisberg. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I stand up to Goliaths. I don't go after the weak. I'm not Jessica Delfino. I don't go after the weak. I'm not the Trachtenberg family slideshow players. I go after the strong and powerful. Because nobody else will. How often do you see Jon Stewart going after these people? He doesn't. Jon Stewart, in fact, kisses up to Mayor Bloomberg and the Nazis. Jon Stewart goes after easy targets, and it's a shame. Bill Maher will not stand up to our Hitler. Nobody. Michael Moore will not stand up to our Hitler. Even after Bloomberg canceled term limits, which no other fascist in American history did, every single progressive backed him up because he's so fucking rich. Remember, he's like Hitler and Stalin, but 1,000 times more powerful. We're lucky that Bloomberg doesn't have the ambitions of a Hitler or a Stalin. Mike Bloomberg is a very small thinker, and we are very fortunate for that. Now, what happened? So now, every now and then I do articles like Worst Journalist of the Week, Worst Journalist of the Month, Worst Journalist of the Year. And I monitor the news media every day. Because again, if you clean up the news media, there's no other problems on earth. You can't have violence. You can't have crime. You can't have homelessness. You can't have environmental problems. You can have no problem on earth if journalists tell the truth. So all of us should put 100% of our energy, not on presidents. Obama's a criminal. They're all criminals. Clinton was a criminal. Bush, Reagan are all criminals. You don't get to be a governor, a mayor, or a president without being a criminal puppet of the corporations. Duh. It's 2011 and people are still trying to figure this out. Holy shit. There's too much money to be made, too much power. Emma Goldman said it. If elections changed anything, they'd outlaw voting. Duh. It's a no-brainer. Go after journalists. They are the only problem on earth. There can't be a bad politician without lying journalists. Come on, people. Spread the word. Because your world is dying at a rapid rate. Which I don't have any objection to, as long as all the humans die, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So the maggots will still continue to destroy the world and fuck each other over every day. That's what humans do. So Adam Lisberg, now again, this is the irony of it. A lot of my victims well, victims in air quotes, that's their saying. They would say, a Kutcher came after me and harassed me. That's funny, Adam Lisberg. You say I harassed you. Mayor Giuliani and Mayor Bloomberg both said I harassed them, and that's why they would arrest me. It's funny. Why wasn't I harassing John Liu or Bill de Blasio? Why wasn't I harassing good politicians? If I'm just harassing people, why did I single you out, Mayor Bloomberg? It couldn't be because you committed endless crimes and more crimes than everyone else combined, could it be? Adam Lisberg used to write in anti-Bloomberg things, and then Bloomberg decided to steal a third election and spent a lot of money to bribe a lot of people to make sure he stole that third election. And Adam Lisberg was one of those people who suddenly changed his entire writing. And now it was always pro-Bloomberg, all filled with lies. It wasn't like he was making any mistakes. His articles were all filled with provable lies over and over and over again. One great example here. In 2005, the mayor's race, that election was cheated. All of Bloomberg's elections are cheated 1,000 different ways. Don't get me started. For instance, incumbents always cheat elections. Incumbents automatically win 95% of the time no matter what. For Bloomberg to have to spend $85 million against Freddie Ferrer's $11 million or whatever is not simply wrong. It's illegal. Forget the First Amendment. This isn't a First Amendment issue. This is a treason issue. The mayor's stated goal was to cancel free and fair elections, to cancel democracy. This isn't about free speech. That's a red herring. This is about treason. When you try to cheat an election, that's treasonous. That's not free speech. We should hang you. Now, his argument, I would say he would be right if he says, I have the right to spend $110 million against a $6 million candidate, even though I'm the incumbent who spent $200 million of tax dollars promoting myself daily for 4 years. The federal courts have said he does have free speech to spend as much money as he wants. Cool. But now he has to explain how spending 10 times more than his opponent, 11, 12 times more than his opponent, is not treasonous. Why? His argument was, at the time, was, I need to get my message out there. That's why I have to spend 10 times more than my opponent, who's lame and nobody likes, because I got to get my message out there. But your message was in the papers every single day, Mayor Bloomberg. And if we look at your literature and your ads and radio ads, etc., from the 2009 election, you're not getting your message out. It's all things like, Mike, he gets the job done. That's what you needed to spend $110 million on? Well, don't forget the $200 million in tax dollars. To say Mike gets the job done. His ads, there was no message there. His flyers are all pictures of him kissing babies, hanging out with minorities, hanging out with the elderly. The usual propaganda devices that the Nazis used, and Stalin used, and Bush Cheney used, and Giuliani used. Same right-wing fascistic totalitarian propaganda. Everything the mayor said was false. Everything the mayor said was false instantly. You know, you can't say, I need to get my message out there. That's why I sent out 50 flyers, and all of them were half white blank space. You could have put all the information on those flyers onto one flyer. He was going for carpet bombing and super propaganda. The Nazis couldn't touch Bloomberg's propaganda machine. So he even lied about that. I need to spend $110 million to get my message out there. But you're in the newspaper every single day, Mayor Bloomberg, and you were for the last 9 years. I mean, how do you explain that? Nobody else got their message out more than you did, you fucking liar. But again, every journalist lied to cover those facts up. Every time he lies, the journalist covered up every single time. It's outrageous. And you can see in this Wienergate thing, they put the Wienergate thing on the cover for what, 2 weeks solid? Bloomberg killing firemen, not even worth a cover, a single cover. He murdered firemen in the Deutsche Bank scandal, not worth covering. He killed firemen in the Black Sunday scandal, it's not worth reporting. He killed firemen in the Zadroga scandal, not worth reporting. It's the most corrupt thing this planet Earth has ever seen. This mayor, Bloomberg, billionaire media mogul, hiring reporters for $500,000 a pop. That came out. I mean, these aren't secrets I'm talking about, most of this shit. But I'm digressing. Adam Lisberg, of course, said, wow, times are tough. Bloomberg has ballooned the cost of living in New York City. The 25% tax hike just on property taxes alone created the largest inflation rate in New York City history. That one act, well, it's 2 acts technically, by Bloomberg, created the most devastating inflation in New York City's history. Nobody can afford it anymore. The middle class are screaming. Everybody wants Bloomberg hung, except for the media. And Adam Lisberg was, like most reporters, like, wow, it's so expensive in the city. Because of this scumbag criminal, I'm going to help him steal another election, but I'm going to suck his dick so hard hoping he gives me a job. And I get paid $300,000 a year instead of $40,000 a year. And you have to remember, Bloomberg bought reporters when he first ran for office. Nobody took him seriously. He was a moron. He was an idiot. He had no ideas. He refused to answer questions about his plan as mayor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He was a laughingstock to everybody. But he did something that was smooth, and he hired a few reporters like Jonathan Capehart from the Daily News. $300,000 salary. Not bad. That was his way of saying, who else wants $300,000 salary to suck my dick? And all the reporters, every one of them lined up and said, me, 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 me. Adam Lisberg was one of the worst, monitoring all the reporters. Adam Lisberg was one of the most dishonest reporters to ever live. And I would monitor his articles. And what I would do is he'd write an article lying on behalf of the mayor, and then I would take his article, copy and paste it, and then each sentence I would prove why it was a lie. And I would humiliate him in front of his peers. I would humiliate him in front of taxpayers. And then I'd email those out to hundreds of thousands. My email lists are, maybe 6,000 people. Most major media reporters and editors, et cetera, and then a lot of regular civilians and stuff, different lists I have. And, of course, it would get back to Adam immediately. When his coworkers would say, hey, Brodeur sent out another email, worst reporter of the month, Adam Lisberg. And I would make him look like the biggest snake liar there was. I mean, he couldn't rebut any of my pieces. Everything he wrote was brazen lies. Example, in 2009, he said, Mayor Bloomberg is so popular. He is so popular. He can't be, everybody wants him back, so don't even try and hate him. He's the greatest. And the polls say he's at 20% ahead of his opponent. It doesn't matter. Don't even think of voting against the mayor. You haven't got a prayer. Save your time, stay home, don't vote. Adam left out that in 2005, the same polling companies were off 100%, misleading the public on behalf of Bloomberg to make sure they all stayed home and didn't vote against him. They had done the same thing 4 years earlier for the mayor. Adam knew this, but he lied. Then in 2009, all the reporters said Bloomberg's going to crush Thompson. And then the day after the election, when it was all over, they all said, oops, we were wrong. He won by 4%. He spent over $300 million to a loser's, complete worthless candidate, Bill Thompson's $6 million. $6 million against $300 million, not including the billions of free advertising Bloomberg got from the news media every day. So we're technically talking billions of dollars versus a $6 million candidate with no charisma, a Democrat who had been betrayed by all the Democrats because they wanted to get cash checks from Bloomberg too, and they did. Everybody sold out the Democrat, Thompson, and he still almost crushed the guy who had billions of dollars in campaign spending and free advertising. It was incredible. 4%. They promised us 20%. 4%. The next day, all the poll companies were like, oops, our bad. Oops, we were wrong. 100%. Quinnipiac said, oops, we were 400% wrong on our numbers. No big deal. 400%. Wacky. Just something went wrong. Who knows? Oh well, it looks like you're stuck with the billionaire corporate tool for another 4 years. Oops. Even that, we could get them for treason tomorrow. That's what some of my RICO lawsuits are about. I can prove you people all were organized criminals. Quinnipiac not only lied about the mayor in two consecutive elections, not only admitted they were totally wrong, and they didn't disclose that before the next election. Quinnipiac got a $13 million gift from Mike Bloomberg. None of this shit is secret, but if the reporters don't write about any of it, then it never happened. Right? If no one ever reported the Nazis killing Jews, it would never have happened, essentially. The history books are in the minds of people. That's how media rolls. Anyhow, so I kept embarrassing Adam Lisberg. I was beating the shit out of him more than almost any other reporter because Adam was the biggest liar in New York. Adam Lisberg. And I started exposing that what he was doing was not even legal. It's felony fraud. And I was pointing out to his readers on their own website, dailynews.com, that any one of them could sue Adam Lisberg and the Daily News for fraud under state statutes. Then I found out RICO statutes as well. And all you have to do is prove they've misled the customers and that lie cost you money. Well, it's easy to prove that they misled the voters to get Bloomberg in 3 times. It's easy to prove that we lost trillions of dollars by that felony fraud. Done. You are entitled to damages, et cetera, even punitive damages. And so Adam got sick of me exposing his crimes. He didn't disprove. I always welcomed him to disprove me. I would contact him to get his side of the story, and he would say. One time I asked him about because check this out. Check this out. After the 2009 election, when the polling company said, "Oops, we were 400% off, 100% to 400% off," he continued every week to still use those polling companies' polls to shape public opinion. And not once did he include, little disclosure, to be fair, these polling companies were 400% off the last time. So if they say that he's still immensely popular, or the police commissioner is immensely popular, it's possible they're wrong 400%. So if they say Mayor Bloomberg now has a 60% approval rating, and they're 400% off in his favor, exactly. And I can prove it tomorrow. He's got a 0% approval rating in every area of New York. Pick anywhere. Let's do it. And the reporters say it's not news. It's not news. If the polls are lying, that's not news. We're not going to get to the truth. Our job is not to report the truth, you stupid fuck. Yeesh. Please kill me. So Lisberg finally sends me an email. Oh, when I asked him about it on the phone, he said, "You're right. I probably should mention." He said, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I will mention that they were 400% off last time." Needless to say, his next article didn't, and the article after that, and after that, and after that didn't. None of them did. None of them told the truth, and I would expose that and humiliate him over and over and over again. I'm relentless. I hunt Nazis to the death. Except it's not fair again to call Adam Lisberg Nazi. He's a lot worse than a Nazi, and I could prove that. American corporations killed a lot more than 200 million people. And name the time and place, and I'll debate it. No one will debate the facts, and you know why. So one day I get an email from Adam Lisberg, says, "I'm asking you to stop." And his email basically quotes the harassment statute, of which I know well. They've arrested me almost every year for 20 years. I beat them the first 15 out of 15 arrests for allegedly harassing them. That should tell you something. With the shittiest court-appointed attorneys, I beat Goliaths, NYPD, DA Morgenthau, City Hall, over and 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 over again. You think that was luck? It wasn't luck. It's because nothing they did was legal. But then, of course, they would take it up a notch. And each one of my successive arrests, they'd say, "All right, he's beating us every time. We got to cheat. We got to do whatever it takes. All right, we got to get rid of his right to a jury. Done. We got to make sure he's in front of a judge appointed by the mayor. That's illegal, but so what? Done. We gotta use statutes that aren't illegal. Done. And they thousands of crimes. We got to threaten his own court-appointed attorneys so they don't even do the little shit they did. Sometimes somebody done. They just on and on. We got to cut the budget of legal aid so the lawyers are drowning in caseloads. Done. And each year they took it up a notch and cheated a conviction. That got thrown out. Then they cheated another conviction, which is on appeal. Then blah, blah, blah. And there's another conviction on appeal. And I have 5 criminal trials currently pending, none of which they have a prayer of winning unless they cheat dramatically, which they might do, but they might not. They know I'm not afraid to go to jail. In fact, I need to go to jail now because I can't afford to live in the city anymore. And I can't leave the city because these fucking scumbags are holding me hostage. So Adam sends me an email with the almost quoting verbatim the harassment statute. "You are alarming me. You are annoying me. You are harassing me, da 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 da." And I write back and I say, or to him and his peers, I'm like, "Hey, everybody, look what Adam wrote here. Oh, he's plagiarizing the harassment statute, like he plagiarized all Bloomberg's press releases. How appropriate." And I made a point not to contact Adam directly after that because I knew he was setting me up to falsely arrest me for harassment. He couldn't prove anything I said wrong. What do you do when you have an opponent who proves you wrong? You kill the messenger. An honest person would disprove my facts. Adam Lisberg was admitting to being a criminal. That's cool. And I knew he was planning on having me arrested. I then humiliated him in front of everybody else, and I kept humiliating him in front of everybody else, and I warned him. I said, "Adam, if you do think you're going to have me thrown in jail and arrested," I mean, obviously it's not going to work. They've thrown me in jail over 30 times. Each time it makes me more and more aggressive in hunting Nazis. It backfired every single time, Adam. Are you going to be a fucking moron? Are you going to risk the rest of your life being exposed as a fucking child molesting criminal, which I can prove, solely in the hopes of getting a pay raise from Mike Bloomberg, who's just going to steal the money back via higher taxes and via higher bills and fees, etc., and cost of living? You're a fucking idiot. Wake up, fucking idiot. You know this is fucking. You're helping Nazis now, but how did that end for the real Nazis? It didn't end so well. And right now, Nazi Bloomberg is on top of the world, but it may not end so well. It didn't end so well for for Giuliani or Carrick or Hevesi or Spitzer or lots of them. And for months, I was not only exposing Adam, what I was doing was calling the DA's office here in Manhattan, Cy Vance, new DA, and calling all kinds of different people and trying to do a preemptive block and saying, hey, everybody, I got to warn you, Adam Lisberg, sleazy liar at the Daily News, is reporting. He's planning on having me arrested for harassment. You guys want to keep doing this? I can sue forever. I don't want to keep suing and taking taxpayers' money. I want you to stop falsely arresting critics and whistleblowers and dissidents. And I called everybody and their mother, and for months went by and I wasn't arrested. And then I even got a call from I also got a call from a cop. Now this should tell you something. Normally, if Adam Lisberg was indeed harassed by me, he would go to the local precinct up in Midtown. He didn't do that. He went straight to the mayor's team because they would want to arrest a dissident on behalf of their lying Nazi reporters. And that's what happened. The detective who contacted me, what the fuck's his name right now? I juggle so many detectives. Detective Stamm, Stamm. He called me up and said, Christopher, you're going to turn yourself in. And now he's in Brooklyn. Now that's weird. This is two people in Manhattan. I don't know if you know anything about the way police work, but they have precincts. They have jurisdictions. Why would a cop from Brooklyn, a detective from Brooklyn, be calling me about a fight between two people in Manhattan? That doesn't pass any smell test. Turns out Stan was part of the mayor's intelligence division squad. That's the mayor's personal Gestapo. Needless to say, they have no jurisdiction over civilian on civilian crimes. They have no jurisdiction in this thing. Adam Lisberg can go to his local precinct and have the detectives come get me. That might not work, though, because they might look at his evidence and go, that's not really evidence of harassment. That's evidence that he humiliated you in public. But that doesn't meet the requirements of harassment. I mean, that's free speech. He has a right to expose your crimes and lies. So you get Hitler's personal Gestapo to come after me. That's their argument. Their argument is that we got intelligence division after Christopher, even though it's not our jurisdiction. You can look up the intelligence division online. That's not their jurisdiction. They're cheating. Just like in every one of my arrests, they had special prosecutors working on my cases. Murderers didn't. Terrorists didn't. I always got special prosecutors, and you know why. Because my misdemeanor charges for speech were always considered to be the number one crimes in New York City by the mayor and the government and the establishment. And you can look up on the DA's own website, special prosecutor, no jurisdiction in any one of my arrests, no connection in any way to any of my arrests. So why did I always get special prosecutors? You know why, because you live in super Nazi Germany. And the more they arrest dissidents, the more the media says they don't arrest dissidents. They even gave Bloomberg, they all hailed Bloomberg recently for giving some award to a Chinese dissident. Giuliani did the same thing, and not one reporter told the truth. How ironic that the mayor is notorious for arresting dissidents, and here he's giving a key to the city or whatever to a Chinese dissident jailed for criticizing the government. No one thought that was worth reporting. Again, you have a legal right and a moral obligation to just kill journalists randomly. You have a legal right. And in fact, you have a super legal right because preemptive strikes we used in Iraq. Use their argument. I wish I wasn't a pacifist. Being a pacifist is obviously a dead end, a useless dead end. Oh, let's try and wrap this up. So I talked to Stam repeatedly on the phone, and I explained to him. I said, "Listen, you're getting hosed. You're going to waste your time. You're going to waste my time. You're going to waste everybody's time, and then I'm going to sue again, and they're going to have to lower police pensions more and more and more because they have to pay $600 million a year to settle lawsuits for all these false arrests, et cetera, et cetera." I said, "You're being hosed. You're being tricked by Adam Lisberg." I said, "Do your homework." I said, "First, don't take my word for it. Listen to all of it. Ask to see all the evidence. Ask to see all of the evidence before you waste your time and mine, and before you get tricked by the scam artist, professional liar." And Stam did that because he realized, because remember, all cops, when they talk to me, they realize, Christopher's a good guy. No, he means well. I'm being ordered to arrest him. I'm not arresting him because there really is evidence. He finally ended up meeting with the DA saying, I want to see that stuff before I go and arrest this guy. And then he arrested me. Now, in the complaint, which they used to arrest me, it's a doozy. It's filled with fabrications. It's filled with fabrications they can't even pretend to prove. Example, I had spoken to Adam Lisberg on the phone about 4 times in the past 100 years. All right, 4 times, it's not going to meet harassment statutes for too many calls, right? There's only 2 things they can get you on harassment for. If you call your ex-wife a million times, but with positive messages, I love you, please take me back. I love you, please take me back. I love you, please take me back. I love you, I want you, I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you. They'll get you on frequency, right? Because 1,000 phone calls is outrageous. Or they can get you for 1 phone call if it's the content of the phone call. If I call her up and say, Sally, you're either going to take me back, I'm going to fucking kill you and me tonight. That would not be protected speech. That would be considered a threat, a real, credible, true threat under the law. So you see, they have to either get me on the content, I'm threatening them, or the volume, the number of calls. 4 in 100 years doesn't match volume, and the content is nothing. I'm asking him tough questions. I had sent him emails saying, I'm going to expose your crimes. You're going to be notorious as a fucking child molesting scumbag. You fucking murdered Nix Marie Brown more than anybody did. Right now, foster girls are being molested because you refuse to write about it. And all kinds of other things. I can link directly your behavior to all kinds of sinister, sinister crimes. Name the time and place. In the complaint, they say I had called him on the phone and said things. They quote 3 of my emails. Now, the funny thing is, 2 of the emails aren't even to him. It's all third person. It says, I'm going to expose Adam's lies. Da, da, da. It's not even emailed to him. So they fucking lied right there, but they know that judges are crooks and everyone in the legal system is a crook. The lawyers are all crooks on both sides. So what? We'll just phone this shit in. Even funnier, they say after Adam told me to stop contacting him, I called him. Wrong, the phone number, and you can check yourselves. I called the Daily News City Hall desk. It goes to 4 reporters, Aaron Einhorn, Kate Lucadamo, Frank Lombardi, Adam Lisberg. And I called one day to ask Frank a question because I've been for years asking Frank. I'll ask Frank Lombardi, who's a pretty honest reporter, questions, and he's kind of helpful and friendly usually. And I called and says, Frank there. Adam picked up the phone and said, I told you to stop calling me. I said, I'm calling for Frank. Did you not hear? Click. He then tells the government that I tried to call him and harass him. You see? Sleazy little tricks. And that's one of the ways they cheat arresting dissidents and critics. You just cheat it any way you want. They cite, he sent like 7 more emails to Adam Lisberg. They mislead you by not pointing out that none of those emails were to Adam Lisberg. They were to my mass emailing list of the media. Adam might be on that list still. But since there was no restraining order, there was no law that said I couldn't. And I wasn't emailing him directly, so that's a stretch. It's totally protected free speech. But that's why in their criminal complaint against me, they leave that kind of vague. They leave a lot of things a little vague. I wonder why. And what's really ironic is I told them even from day one, the DA and the cop, I said, plus, this isn't going to go to trial. This is going to be, Adam's doing this to shut me up and slow me down. And Bloomberg wants to slow me down. This isn't going to go to trial. Why? Because Adam Lisberg has to testify under oath at the trial. I want to get Adam Lisberg under oath. He doesn't want to be under oath in trial because I can prove in the first 10 minutes that he's a paid professional liar, undermining his entire testimony. Do you see? He is a professional paid liar. He can't testify under oath. He's fucked if he does. Because all I have to do is whip out any of his articles and say, could you read this, please, out loud in court? You see what that sentence there? 3rd sentence. Could you please read this 3rd sentence again? Oh. Now, we now know, with the benefit of hindsight, that was completely false. Could you explain that? It's like, you knew that was false because we have your article from 5 months earlier that contradicts your article 3 months later that turned out to be false. That, understand, all of his crimes are in print. They're all online. He's a sitting duck. We can expose him as a complete lying criminal in the first 10 minutes of his cross-examination. There's no fucking way he's going to let me cross-examine him. What he's going to do is they arrest you, they drag it out for 2-3 years in the court of law illegally, to slow you down and keep the restraining order going forever and holding your bail and collecting interest off your bail money and fucking you over by stealing your bail money. Remember, they also sometimes they raise my bail later, steal even more bail money from me. And then they arrest me in other cases and steal bail money using the previous fake arrest to say, this guy must be a criminal. I mean, look at, he's got all these cases for harassment. He must be guilty. It's not that we can all cheat using our collective power. Not at all. No. I mean, yes, this guy is a famous whistleblower, and you can just Google his name and say, oh my God, this guy's entire life is about exposing crimes by fucking powerful criminals. And the only way they would react, common sense-wise, would be to go after the whistleblower and try to crush and destroy the whistleblower. Maybe even assassinate politically his reputation. Would they do character assassination on a political whistleblower? It's a real mystery. But all the judges now are appointed by the mayor, and they're all ex-prosecutors. None of it's legal, but who's going to stick up for me? The ACLU? They're fucking frauds. Nobody cares about civil rights in this country. And you're paying trillions of dollars for it, suckers. And you just sit there. So that's where it's, so they did arrest me. They tortured me in jail, when they even grabbed me, I think, was this the right case? Oh yeah, this was the case where I should include this. They arrested me. Now, what they can do is they just go to my next court date. Since they made me homeless, they don't know where I live or which friends I'm staying with at any given moment, so it's harder for them to arrest me. So what they would do is wait till my next court date, considering I have open cases against Harry Stuckey and Jessica Delfino. They would just pick me up outside the courtroom next time I go to court. I've never missed a court date. That's why they set bail, because they can't legally. But they're all fucking criminals. This is a super Nazi system, and you still think I'm exaggerating. So one day I was going to court against Delfino. Now, normally what they do is you go and you see the judge, you do your business, takes 10 minutes, whatever. And when you're leaving, the police grab you. The detectives are waiting outside the door of the courtroom, and they arrest you. But I'm dealing with super duper Nazis. And these crooks grabbed me before I entered the courtroom. Now, that's super illegal. Why would that be illegal? Because now they have made me, they've made the judge issue a warrant for my arrest in an unrelated case because I didn't show up for court. But I did show up for court, but I didn't show up for court. It's super fucking illegal. And you people still think you don't live in Nazi Germany. You still think it because you don't see swastikas on the fucking arms of the politicians. You still think they didn't just change the name of Nazis to something else, like Democrats and Republicans. You still believe all these fucking lies. And the four detectives grabbed me outside the courtroom. To my shock, the female one, what's her name? I have to dig it up. She actually was checking my pants for weapons. I know I've been charged with speech a lot. I might have a pen on me. Fucking lying asshole, fucking Nazis. She slid her hand up my pant legs, the inside and the outside of your pant legs and your legs, thighs, etc., to see if you have any weapons. And she went all the way up to my crotch and like fucking nailed my balls and stuff. Now, a female can't do that. It's like, imagine a male cop searching a female suspect. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally grabbed your breast. That's kind of illegal, you fucking scumbags. And maybe I'll get some money for that too. Who knows? But they wouldn't allow me to go to court. Now, I was stupid, admittedly. I made a fucking mistake. When they were grabbing me, I'm like, what, you guys? And then it took me a moment. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You're grabbing me before I go in, so I can't. So it looks like I blew off. They can steal your bail money too now. You blow off a court date, they steal your bail money. You lost $2,000, sucker. They can do anything they want. They're Nazis. There's only one way to stop a Nazi. A bullet into their fucking heads, okay? Thomas Jefferson told you, put a fucking bullet in their heads. George Washington told you, put a fucking bullet into their fucking heads. You cannot reason with Nazis. And I'm still foolish because I try to fight Nazis in their legal system. But again, you could be like most Jews who just lined up and did what they were told. Is that the way you're going to do it? Cool. It'll probably work out fine. Don't learn from the past. And they threw me in jail for 24 hours, tortured me, blah, 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 blah. Oh, but I should have, when they were grabbing me, I was close enough to the court door that I almost could have grabbed the door and opened it up and screamed, help me, help me, help me. I'm here for my court date. Because once they cuffed me, I'm like, oh, I know what they're doing. They're fucking going to get my bail money stolen. They're going to get me. And they said, don't worry, we're going to take it. I said, no, you guys are fucking me off so the judge thinks I did come. He's like, no, we're going to take care of that, Christopher. Strangely enough, like every single previous time I had dealt with police in my long life, the cops lied. I have never once dealt with police officers where they didn't flat out lie to me. Again, you have a legal right, says our government and our media, to randomly murder cops. Now, again, I'm a pacifist and that's a dead end. You don't want to be like me. Fighting in the legal system is stupid. You don't sue the Nazis. You have to fucking kill them all. I'm sorry. As a person who loves pacifism, I wish pacifism worked, but it never works. It's never worked. It will never work. Ever. So please grow the fuck up and learn from George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. They couldn't just sue the king. You have a right to self-defense, people. And someday I hope I grow up and stop being as civilized as I am, because it's never done anybody any good. Except for the Nazis. They love pacifism on somebody else. And now it's been like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 11 months stuff. We're no closer to going to trial. Nothing's happening with the case. There's no rush. Remember, I have a right to speedy trial. Oh, wait. No, I don't. And then you even saw with my RICO laws, the first RICO lawsuit, the judge, I had the law backing me completely, but I'm going in front of a judge appointed by George H.W. Bush, ex-CIA. It's Nazi on every level, every inch of every level, and you people aren't going to fucking wake up? Fine, because you're going to fucking die one way or the other. They're fucking murdering you and raping you right now, and you don't even fucking know it. They've robbed you of trillions of dollars. You'd have a swimming pool and a fucking mansion right now, if not for the trillions they stole from you and everyone you know. The amount of money you've earned in your life that was stolen from you, and you still don't know half of how much was stolen from you. You'd have a fucking swimming pool in your fucking house right now. Blah, blah, blah. Shit, this is my longest diary yet. I don't want to break it up. Was there anything else I wanted to say, dear diary? Let's pause and think for a moment. Oh, fuck, dear diary. I almost forgot the most important part. Well, one of them. One of the funniest parts. Since I'm a good cartoonist, cartoons are very effective weapons. And so, oops, he said weapons. Now, see, they would take that out of context and say, we have Mr. Brodeur on tape saying that he used weapons against Mr. Lisberg. That's how Nazis operate. I did a cartoon of Adam Lisberg being fucked up the ass by Mike Bloomberg, being Bloomberg's bottom. And it was pretty insulting because Adam had written several articles about how much Mike Bloomberg loves his iPad. It's like, wow, that's more important than him murdering firemen? Wow. How much Mike Bloomberg likes his new iPad is more important than him murdering foster children and children in ACS? That's more important than him poisoning our water supply. That's more important than him having New York City replace LA for the worst air in New York. That's more important than him violating federal handicap laws. That's more important than the 500,000 scandals I can name off the top of my head. The mayor likes his iPad. So in the cartoon I do of Bloomberg fucking Adam Lisberg up the ass, Bloomberg is secretly thinking of his iPad with hearts all around it. Very extra insulting to Adam. And he's also thinking, I don't even want to fuck this loser. But, Adam's a professional bottom. So in the complaint against me, they cite that cartoon, having sexual intercourse with the mayor. Ooh. So you guys didn't know political satire was protected speech, did you? Or the DA didn't know it either, who typed it up. The cops didn't know that cartoons are protected speech. Political cartoons are sometimes nasty and critical. Or that they have the biggest protection available under the First Amendment. The federal courts have been super clear on how protected political cartoons are. There's not even any prayer of arguing. But they're Nazis, and they know. Well, now we have, for the first time in American history, all Nazi judges. Nothing but Nazi judges. How can we lose? We can just make up any shit we want. And they have. So the fact that I'm being charged with a cartoon, this is really sad. I contacted all kinds of cartoon groups, and only one wrote me back. Nobody else cared that a cartoonist would be arrested for a cartoon. None of them. Which is funny, because I said that when I was 5 years old. There's two types of humans, assholes and morons. Nobody gives a fuck about right and wrong but me. And that's why I need to commit suicide. And I wish my enemies, I've talked about suicide enough. My enemies, come on guys, take me out. Everyone will believe I committed suicide. So just fucking do it already. Stop wasting our fucking time. I don't want to fight you. You don't want to fight me. I don't want to be alive. Just fucking put me out of my misery, you fucking super Nazis. Please have some of the decency that the actual Nazis had when they put their enemies out of their pain and suffering. Please. I don't give a shit about your planet anymore. I don't give a shit about you fucking Nazis or your fucking sheep, fucking Jews lining up for the ovens. You're all fucking bunch of fucking asshole, lazy fucks who don't give a fuck about right and wrong. I don't belong on this planet. I never belonged on this planet. Please have a little fucking mercy. And now we repatch on our previous coda. I'm sure there's things I'm forgetting, but I guess we can leave it at that. We'll revisit this as the case develops. The judge in that case, I think that was the case too, where the judge, check this out, it was close to 1 a.m. Now, you're going through bullpen therapy illegally. They're torturing you illegally before you even see a judge, 24 hours in, sometimes more. I think it took me like 27 hours to get to the judge that time. And they cut it off at 1 a.m. So you're like, when you're sitting in the fucking filthy dungeons, thinking, oh man, it's fucking midnight. Oh, they better call my name. Oh, get closer and closer. And they finally, oh yes. In fact, the lawyer, legal aid lawyer, said he saw me and said, is that Christopher Brodeur? I voted for that guy in 2005. Went and got my file and pulled me up. Gurmeet Singh from the Legal Aid Society. He's a pretty good guy. Maybe a little green, but an honest kid. And we got in front of the judge, and the judge, it's like 1 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, now I got to pray I get released on my own recognizance, because if he hits me with bail, I'm stuck in jail for another day to year. And the judge says, I've represented Mr. Brodeur's been in front of me before, so I can't hear this. I am sending him back in, and the next judge can hear him. Total fucking lie. But again, the judge owes his pension to my enemy, Mayor Bloomberg. And I'm considered to be the number one enemy of Mayor Bloomberg. In fact, let's put that into perspective. I am more an enemy to the mayor, billionaire, super Nazi of New York City, Mayor Mike Bloomberg, than every other breathing human combined. That's a pretty powerful statement. I am more of an enemy to the mayor and a threat to the mayor of New York City than every other human on earth combined. There are no reporters exposing all of his crimes. There are no activists going after Bloomberg. Everyone is protecting this criminal. Every good government group, every progressive liberal in New York City has protected this super Nazi for 10 years because he stole tax dollars and bribed all the progressives. He bribed everyone. And he got away with all of it. Just like Hitler got away with all. No, he didn't. Hitler shot himself in the head. Hitler was going to commit suicide anyhow. So that doesn't count. For 12 years, Hitler lived like royalty and got away with 99% of his crimes. I wonder if mini Hitler is going to get away with his crimes. If you have anything to say in it, he will. But for now, Adam Lisberg's a scumbag. Adam, let's go to trial. Adam Lisberg, he just left the Daily News last month. I don't know why. He moved to what appears to be a much shittier, smaller gig. So we'll see what happens. Remember, without bad reporters, there's no bad government. This has been the Cranium Report with Commander Cranium.